What's up, LDBC? This the King, here to discuss the Canelo Alvarez versus Liam Smith fight. I'm going to break it down here in this video. I like to break my videos down differently than, a lot of others. I like to make my prediction, but also I like to, break down how each guy will win the fight, basically. So I'm gonna start, from the beginning, from yesterday. Let's start from the weigh-in. Now, I didn't like what I seen from Canelo Alvarez's body in the weigh-in. I know people online has been saying, he's been looking dry, for the past several fights, cutting down to 155, now he's cutting to 54. And I do agree with that, but he looked at, in my opinion, a little more drained, a little more dry. He basically, like, almost, he's dehydrated himself so much to that. See, when you usually cut weight like that and you start removing the water on the week of the fight, your muscles get more defined and they appear more ripped. But when you get too dry, you don't get to see that definition at all. And if you look at his six-pack in previous fights, like what you see on the screen, these are, weigh-in photos from previous fights. You can see his muscle definition is more defined than the weigh-in pics from the Liam Smith fight. Now, with that being said, if I'm Liam Smith, which my game plan will already been this, I'm not trying to win the fight early. I'm trying to stay in the fight early. Not necessarily trying to win the fight, because I want to get him into the deeper rounds. I want to get him into the later rounds, because I'm seeing it in his body that he's drained, that he's significantly dehydrated. So, but I want to go about it in a smart, tactical way, applying a lot of pressure. I want to make him work every second of those 3 minutes. And see, you can make a guy work without actually throwing punches and opening yourself up. And if you go and watch Liam Smith, I'm not too familiar with him. I watched a few of his fights, prior to doing this breakdown, so I can give an educated breakdown, based off of what his abilities are. Now, Liam Smith, believe it or not, is a technically sound fighter. He's not the most technically sound, so I don't want people to get that confused like I'm saying, he's great or, technically or whatever, but he's above average. He moves his head well, he slip punches well, and he's been in there with guys with fast hands and been able to slip their punches pretty well. I like how he anchors. I like how he does have a nice counter off the jab, off his opponent's jab. He does have a nice counter right hand off of it, which I do feel that would be effective, because Canelo does have a habit of over-committing to his jab. That's why if you go and watch some of Canelo fights, he does get caught off his jab, because he overcommits and he steps too hard with that jab sometimes. What I mean by stepping too hard is when you step with your jab to get a little more pop into the jab, but he's taking too big of a step, so he's closing distance, getting too close to the opponent in some cases when he does that, which, from what I've seen from studying some of Liam Smith's, previous fights, he's going to be there for the right hand off of the jab. So, back to what I was saying, if I'm Liam, I'm trying to get him in the deep waters. I'm not trying to go for the KO even early. I'm not trying to really put my work in as far as letting my hands go in the first 6 rounds. After round 6, you know, if Liam is able to consistently put that pressure on Canelo in the first 6 rounds, making him work every minute, every second of that round, that's when you're going to start seeing that pressure pay dividends. For the simple fact of Canelo struggling to make that weight. I don't care what nobody says, Canelo's a middleweight. You know, he's a middleweight. He knows it. He's a middleweight, man. And there's consequences for stripping your body like that. You're not gonna come all the way back when you dehydrate. I mean, yeah, when you dehydrate yourself like that, you're not gonna come all the way back by fight time. You know, Canelo may get in this ring really, I mean, seriously, about 85% of himself. Cause see, even when you cut weight, you're not gonna be 100% anyway. You know what I mean? So, excuse me. But you're not gonna be 100% anyway, and especially when you're overcutting weight, you know what I mean, dehydrating yourself, and it's dangerous to do so because I'm interested to see how Canelo's punch resistance is going back to 54. You know what I mean? Because like I told you guys in previous videos, when you dehydrate yourself too much, you don't leave enough fluid around the brain, and it's not enough time to get enough fluid around the brain. Hence, you get concussions, get hurt easier, and get knocked out easier. You know, you get hurt by guys who may not be revered as a big puncher. For the simple fact, your skull is literally rocking back and forth against the brain with not enough fluid in it. So the fluid is what helps protect the brain from, you know, knocking around against the skull. And when you don't have enough there, that's dangerous. You know, so win, lose, or draw, Canelo handlers have to really seriously, you know, I mean, they want to stop the bullshit. He's not a 154 pounder. He can make the weight, but he's not making it, you know, healthy. He's not doing it healthy. You know, so back to the fight. If I'm Liam, I'm trying to get him out into the deep waters, get him past round 7, then it's my time to work. It's my time to start opening up, because the first 6 rounds, I've made him expend a lot of energy, and he's already weight drained. So I should start to see those dividends on a weight drained fighter in the second half of the fight. So the first half of the fight, Canelo's still going to be strong. He's going to still be strong. But you're going to start to see that fading and that wear and tear of cutting that weight on the back half. But the key is Liam got to get there. He got to get to the second half of the fight. And the only way he's going to do that is by boxing smart and applying smart pressure. Like I said, not opening up yet, not trying to go for the kill in the first 6 rounds. You know, you get him on the back half. If he's able to make it past round 6, I give Liam Smith, because he's already a pressure fighter. It's not like he's doing something that he's uncomfortable with or that is not natural to him. As well as the body work. He has to, you know, invest into the body work in the first 6 rounds. In the first 6 rounds, he needs to work the jab, and he needs to work the body. I wouldn't even so much worry about power shots upstairs like that. I would throw him up there to keep him honest, but mostly he needs to focus on the body, because that's what you do with a guy who's weight drained, struggle to make weight. You kill the body. You beat on the body. You beat on the body, because the body is already suffered tremendously to get the weight. You know what I mean? So you go and you attack that body for those first 6 rounds, mixing up the upstairs shots, but you mainly focus on that body. Jab to the body, which Liam has a beautiful jab to the body. He has a beautiful straight right to the body. He has a beautiful left hook to the body. Focus those punches to the body. Now, in the first half of this fight, what Canelo needs to do, Canelo, when Liam is walking forward, bringing that pressure, slipping shots, anchoring and all that good shit, what Canelo needs to do is not really open up. Like what people saying that he needs to, he's going to open up, he throw these combinations, so Liam is going, be in trouble walking forward like that. Look, he's going to walk in the shots. Look, let me tell you something. With Canelo, that is true. But in this fight, it is not true. I would not, if I'm Canelo, I want to prepare for the back half of the fight. Meaning, I've drained myself to make weight. Therefore, I know as a fighter, because I'm experienced enough to know as a fighter, been fighting long enough to know that I'm going to start to begin to break down on the back half of the fight because of, what I've had to go through to make the weight. So in the first half, I want to be calculated. And I want to pick my shots. I want to do just enough to win the rounds. I want to do just enough to win the rounds, just enough to have his respect, not just opening up with this guy walking forward. Because really, you're not really in the physical condition to fight that fight, not for 12 rounds. So, and not only that, if I'm Canelo, the first, say 2 or 3 rounds, I will open myself up, and I'm trying to, with the intention of trying to get him out of there in the first three rounds. If I see after 3 rounds he's not gone, he's not going anywhere. I'm not hurting him, and it's like he's able to deal with the punches right now. I want to back off a little bit. I'm gonna take these next 3 rounds. He may win one of them, but I'm gonna take my foot off the gas a little bit as far as opening up, because I don't want to go for the gusto in the first 6 rounds, knowing that I struggled to make weight, knowing that there may be a potential problem with my, energy levels later in the fight. I'm not going to want to sit there and open myself up and shoot my wad in the first 6 rounds. So I want to fight it in spurts in the first 6 rounds, so I can be strong, have the energy on the back half. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's what I would do if I'm Canelo. He has to fight with the mind state that the fight can potentially go the distance. I don't care how big of a puncher you are. You have to always have that as a possibility that you may go 12 rounds. So with that being said, he needs to spread out his work rate throughout the first 6 rounds. He cannot fight this high work rate knowing he struggled to make weight. I don't care what none of you guys out there saying, all you Canelo fans, oh, he's done this before and blah, 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 blah. And that he's not struggling to make weight, he's struggling to make weight. Anytime a guy got to get all the way butt-ass naked to make weight, he struggled to make that weight. You know what I mean? And when a guy drinking Pedialyte and all that shit out there, I will never drink that shit out the weigh-ins. But when guys drinking shit like that, that's a telltale sign for me that, they had a problem making weight. Because Pedialyte, has a lot of stuff in it that help you when you're dehydrated. That's why fighters drink it. You know what I mean? So it has a lot of mineral, vitamins, sodium, all that stuff in it that, help bring you back. And Canelo drank a big bottle of that, so now this is where the fight is going to become very interesting. Round 7 through 12, if it gets there, it's going to be interesting to see what Canelo looks like and what Liam does. Because if Liam is smart, round 7 is where he picks it up. That's where he picks up his punch output. He keeping the pressure at the same rate, but now he's throwing more punches off of coming forward. You know, and he's doing more countering off of coming forward. And he's keeping that constant pressure, keep moving forward. And like I said, he has above average defense and underrated defense. I don't think Canelo is going to be touching him as cleanly and often as people think. And if you go and watch Liam fights, you will notice that he blocks and slips a lot of punches. And even when he's getting caught with some punches, he's not really getting caught flush and clean. You know what I mean? Some of the punches are glancing blows or whatever. So he has above average defense, believe it or not. And that's what I think will keep him in the fight for the first half of the fight, to be able to be around in the second half. If Liam Smith is still around at the end of the 8th round, Canelo may be in trouble here. Canelo has to get him out of there, preferably within 6, but definitely by 8. And Liam has to then, from round 8 to 12, that's when, I would say round 9 through 12, if I'm Liam Smith, that's when I began to focusing on the KO. He has to focus on a KO, not a decision. Not going to beat Canelo on the cards. Not going to do it. Anytime you can literally win maybe one round against Floyd Mayweather, but a judge can still have it as a draw, that tell you what's up. So Canelo has been getting suspect cards for the longest. You know, I feel like he lost a Trout fight. I feel like he lost a Lara fight. I mean, those were good competitive fights. They weren't highway robberies. But at the same time, those cards reflected highway robbery because it let you know that them guys didn't have a chance to win the fight when you heard some of those scores. So you can't go into a fight with Canelo thinking you're going to get a decision. You got to go ahead and stop this man. So, and if I'm Liam, I start to try to get him out of the rounds 9 through 12. I use those 4 rounds to get him out of there. Those excuse me, 12 minutes to get him out of there. And the reason why I say start around 9, because again, goes back to Canelo weight draining himself. Canelo's not gonna be able to fight at a high rate for 12 rounds after weight draining himself like he has. So round 9 or 12, if he's done effective body work through those first 9 rounds, like I said, working that jab to the stomach, that straight right to the stomach, that right hook to the stomach, that left hook to the liver. Those shots are going to be paying dividend, and he keeps that up through 9 through 12, mixing them head shots, and he can get the stoppage. He can get the stoppage. Now, Canelo, if he makes it to the, let's say, if we look up and Canelo is still in rounds 8, 9, if Canelo reserved himself properly in the first 6 rounds and not allowed himself to be pushed to the limit in the first 6 rounds, Canelo should be able to finish this fight fairly easily and be able to pick up his work rate on the back end of the fight if Liam has not forced him to work at a high enough work rate. And Canelo in those first 6 rounds has to hit Liam with just enough power to make him respect it and to make him fear coming forward so often and so consistent. And that way, if he can do that, if he can gain that type of respect from Liam Smith, then Liam Smith may not bring that type of pressure that's needed to break Canelo down for him to be there right for the picking in round 9 to start try to start going for the stoppages, sitting down on the punches more, putting together combinations. But Liam Smith has to go in here with the game plan of. That's why I said in the first 6 rounds, if I'm Liam, I'm not really trying to worry about winning the rounds. I'm trying to break him down for the back end so I can get him the fuck up out of there, because he's not gonna beat him on the cards. So if I'm Liam, that's just what I'm doing. I'm going to go. I don't care about what. I don't even care if I'm going into round 9 and I've only won 2 rounds, because I'm not trying to win by points. I gotta, because I know I'm not gonna win by points. I'm trying to get a stoppage. I'm trying to say, okay, well, what's the best way I can get that stoppage? And I'm going to use him weight draining himself against himself, and with the hopes that what I've done in the first 8 rounds is enough for me to potentially get the stoppage over the last 4 rounds of the fight. So that's how he has to approach the fight. And Canelo, he has to try to counteract that by now allowing Liam to make him exhaust everything in the first 6 to 8 rounds. Canelo has to be very smart and strategic with this fight. Very smart and strategic. Both guys. Now, let's get to how I see the fight actually going. Now, I do, unlike a lot of people, I do give Liam Smith a chance for the stoppage, because he's a good body puncher and because he does good, effective body work. I do give him a chance in the fight, along with the fact that, Canelo is weight drained. But he done it to himself. He wanted to go back to 54 because he didn't want to fight none of the Lions up there at 160. So, but how I see the fight actually going, I see Canelo stopping Liam Smith in round 7, maybe 8. I see him stopping him within 8 rounds, because I feel that Liam Smith is going to open himself up too much trying to get the knockout, because he knows he needs the knockout to win. And I don't think he's going to go about it the right way. I could be not giving him enough credit as a fighter as far as his intelligence, but that's just my thing about it. I don't think he's going to go about getting the stoppage the right way. Canelo, regardless of what people say, is a big puncher. He's not this one-punch knockout artist, like a lot of people try to make him to be. He's not that at all. But he is a puncher, a big puncher, where you can't take those uppercuts and left hooks and just continuously take them. And Canelo does have sneaky, what I call sneaky speed. Where and as well as timing as far as his punches. Like sometimes he will throw a punch when you least expect it, and it'll be a quick, powerful punch. So that's what I see from Canelo in this fight. I see Canelo, catching him with some sneaky shots, some sneaky uppercuts. Like I love that right uppercut that Canelo throws. Like he'll throw it like you'll see it like he's backing off for a second, and then it's like he's measuring it mentally and visually with his eyes without using his hands to measure it. It's like he'll start taking a step back, and then as soon as the guy gets to a spot, boom, he drops the uppercut. You know what I mean? And it's real sneaky, because he's not even set to throw it when he starts to throw the punch. That's what makes it sneaky and effective. That's why he lands it so often, is because he's not really setting it up to do it. It's just basically him knowing his range and knowing where the guy is at, and knowing that the guy is just stepped into range for that shot. So, like I said, I see the fight, Canelo getting the stoppage within 8 rounds. But if Canelo is still around, if this fight is still going past 8, the odds drastically change into Liam Smith's favor. because of the type of fighter he is, a pressure fighter. I can see him potentially putting Canelo in position to be stopped. But I don't think it's going to get that far. I think Canelo's going to get rid of him within 8 rounds. And like I was saying, and if he doesn't get him out of there, then, this fight going to get very interesting. But I do believe Canelo will get him out of there inside the 8 rounds, somewhere inside those 8 rounds. Because I do feel like Liam is going to be so gung-ho on getting a knockout that he's going to leave himself vulnerable, leave himself open to one of them nasty kind of right uppercuts that the Canelo throws. So, yeah, that's my final prediction on the fight. I got Canelo to win the fight inside of 8 rounds. Shout out to the LDBC. Holla at me.